Democrats conflate weather and climate change in bids for 2020 nomination. As Democrats are vying for the 2020 nomination, many of them are in a way that conflates specific storms and extreme weather events with the broader impacts of climate change. While the central part of the U.S. could see more intense heat and rain events as a result of changes to the climate, many scientists say they're reluctant to immediately point to climate change in the aftermath of a specific weather event or storm. Precedent has often been for making the same error of connecting weather and climate and using that to contradict climate science, like implying that global warming could cancel out a historic cold front. More than half of Americans said they saw climate change as responsible for the severity of hurricanes in 2017, a big increase over the prior 10 years according to Dana Fisher, a sociology professor at the University of Maryland who studies politics and climate change, said it's not surprising Democrats are talking more about that connection as a way to distinguish themselves from Trump and make climate change a more tangible issue. When Fisher studies the Democratic base and says climate change has been rated as a priority in recent years, so it will be a critical issue for any Democrat to win the nomination. Multiple candidates reference extreme weather in their and in recent weeks at least two candidates, Government Jay Inslee, who, Mayor Pete Buttigieg has also made the connection in reference to flooding in Indiana, saying the image he thinks about with climate change is helping families in South Bend during recent floods. Noah Diffenbaugh, a climate scientist at Stanford University that studies the connection between climate change and weather events, said there is evidence that climate change is contributing to more severe storms and rain events in the Midwest as warmer temperatures create more water vapor in the atmosphere. But scientists are still cautious about connecting any specific weather event to changes in the climate and typically only make that determination after the fact. Diffenbaugh said it's important to acknowledge how climate change is influencing weather patterns so the country's infrastructure can prepare for the potential for more frequent or more damaging storms, but that it's also important to stick to the evidence of what we know. While Diffenbaugh and other researchers say they are in the connection between climate change and the risk from severe storms in the central U.S., the strength of the connection to other kinds of events like hurricanes, tornadoes, and varies. Multiple Democrats have referenced the recent tornado outbreak in the context of climate change, for example, but while research shows a connection to more intense storms, it's more difficult to find a direct connection to tornadoes. And have mentioned a connection in Republic Alexandria tornadoes. But Fisher said it shouldn't necessarily be up to politicians to capture all the nuances of the science in a campaign, and that even if Democrats don't capture all the details in statements connecting weather and climate, they still seem to generally follow the science. That's
Raindrop, drop top, top smoking, no cooking the hot pot. Fucking on your bitch, yeah, that. Looking up, open the park pot.